Now, before I share the number one skill that you need to succeed that wasn't taught in school, first, remember, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to show you how to think, and you will get what you expect. Now, if you're expecting to remain the same after watching this video, you will. If you expect to get one insight that can unlock a whole new level for your life, you will. The results lie in your expectation. Welcome back. My name is Wallace, and this is day 10 of the July Creator Challenge on my Better Than Best Academy channel. And I'm really excited for you tuning in. If you don't know what we've been doing, I've been putting out one video a day for the whole month of July to challenge myself to step out of the comfort zone, but truly just putting in the work, putting in the effort to not only get better myself, but to better equip you in the most condensed time. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes we have to run. Sometimes it's time to sprint. And I feel like July right now is a time to sprint. So today we're diving into this topic that's so crucial to personal growth and effective leadership. It's critical thinking. Now you're probably wondering what exactly critical thinking is. And you're probably thinking, Red, why is it so important to my life and my leadership and raising a family and being a great husband and business owner? Well, critical thinking is the ability to think for yourself, not be swayed by mere emotions or social media or the government or groupthink. It's all about being curious, open-minded, and thoughtful. See, as kingdom men and entrepreneurs, developing this skill can help us make better decisions, lead our families with wisdom, and live our lives more purpose-driven and effective. But more importantly, I feel like critical thinking is so important for us because when we are able to know how to think and not just listen to what we think, then we're able to truly be innovators, truly be trailblazers. And I'll mention a little bit of that later. Now, if you grew up in the public school system, there's a big chance you weren't really taught this skill. The school system's primary goal is to create really good memorizers, employees, and rule followers. And like I mentioned, I want to tell you a secret, so come close. If you want to be creative, if you want to be an innovative, a trailblazer, you must develop this skill. So the first step in developing this skill is I really want to encourage you to get curious. Curiosity. I mentioned in my previous video that asking empowering questions lead to empowering lives. I continue that asking open-ended questions is a powerful way to engage our minds. For example, instead of asking, is this right or wrong? Is this going to work? What if instead you asked, what are the potential positive outcomes of this decision? How does this align with my core values and beliefs? See, these types of questions, these open-ended questions lead to dialogue, allowing us to explore different perspectives and deepen our understanding. Now, how do we grow in critical thinking? Well, there's two particular that I really want to share with. One effective method is the elephant eater method. I'm sure you've heard the saying, how do you eat an elephant? Do you know? One bite at a time. This method is to break down information into small parts and analyze each part. For instance, if you have faced a complex problem, it's often much simpler than you think, and you've got to start by identifying the core issue of the problem. For instance, if you're dealing with road rage or you're dealing with anger, the way to attack it is to look beneath it, because the problem is rarely the problem. And a lot of times the vices and the coping mechanisms we use to deal with the traumas in our lives aren't the issue, they're a symptom. If we can evaluate the evidence and consider different viewpoints and weigh the pros and the cons, this systematic approach helps us make more informed decisions. And then the second way is the eagle eye method. This method takes a wide perspective, really picturing when you see an eagle soaring in the sky, they can look down on the whole scape and see different things, a new perspective that you might not have had before. A lot of times when we're in the middle of a problem or a challenge, it's hard for us to see the forest for the trees. But if you can zoom out, if you can get that eagle eye perspective and see the full picture, we can find fresh perspective and a solution we might not have thought of. Critical thinking goes hand in hand with self-awareness and self-management. Taking time to reflect on our thoughts and actions is key. Doing practices like journaling and mindfulness can help us become more aware of our biases and our emotional triggers. Remember, emotions and feelings are information. There's something to listen to, not to be guided by, but to see where they are coming from. By better understanding ourselves, we can think more clearly, and we can make decisions that are aligned with our true values, our true purpose. Another extremely effective way to cultivate self-awareness is to book a coaching call with me. See, in sessions with me, I hold the space. I'm comfortable in the uncomfortable tension of pushing you, provoking the way that you're thinking, challenging your current limiting beliefs, and showing you that there could be a better way. Opening your mind to see the blind spots that you may not see, and giving you the strategies and the techniques and habits to truly shift to better managing your emotions. Now let's bring in some biblical perspective and a personal example. Remember the story of Solomon? Maybe you didn't, but here's a quick retelling of that story. See, there were two women that came before King Solomon, each claiming to be the mother of a living baby while accusing the other of having a dead child. One woman explained that they both lived in the same house and had recently given birth, and during the night, the other woman's baby died, and she switched the babies while the first woman was sleeping. In the morning, the first woman realized the dead baby was not hers and accused the other of deceit. King Solomon faced their conflict claims and called a sword. He literally said, let's go ahead and just divide the child, cut it right in half, and share between the two women. The real mother, driven by her love and passion, pled to give the child to the other woman to save the child's life. And the other woman, however, agreed to the decision. He declared the first woman the true mother, as her compassion revealed her true identity. This judgment displayed Solomon's God-given wisdom for all of Israel. This story, you can find it and read it for yourself. That was definitely a paraphrase for the sake of time for the video. It's found in 1 Kings 3, 16 through 28. And on a personal note, as I promised in the previous videos, I'd share more about my rap career. I'd love to do that now. I know you've probably been waiting, and if you've heard the story, stick around because I'm going to share some details that I haven't ever shared before. So be sure to stick around and see how this all has to do with following the voice of God, and all has to do with building self-awareness, God awareness, and this critical thinking skill that is so important for us. So you see, I wrote my first rap in 2008. It was on a hand-me-down Dell laptop with a free Audacity digital audio workstation where I could record my vocals and a beat that I ripped off of LimeWire, I think. And I had a rock band mic. It was so distorted, awful quality, absolute awful rhyme schemes. The song was trash, but I put it out. And something about that creative process of writing and diving into the world of hip hop and rap for myself made me come alive. So I spent years and years writing raps, perfecting my craft. And by 2010, I started live performing. And in 2016, I actually had some amazing opportunities to open up for some people like Colton Dixon from American Idol, Hawk Nelson, and a few other Christian bands. In 2018, I released one of my best songs. I mean, this was 250 songs later from that one in 2008. And I released my best song with some of my friends, and it flew off the shelf. Everyone loved it. Everyone was vibing to it. And you would have thought all my blood, sweat, and tears had finally paid off. But then something happened. Then I felt like the Lord was saying, do you trust me? And at the time, I wasn't sure, and I sat on it for a while. And then I heard a prophetic word from my pastor in a group, and she was saying that God's about to redone. Now, my rap name was Redone based off of the scripture, 2 Corinthians 5:17. But she said, God's about to redone, and it's going to look nothing like what you thought it was going to look like, but it was going to be all the things that you've been doing along the way. And I never really understood what she meant, but I continued to pray on this word. And then I felt like the Lord was saying, do you trust me enough to lay down the very thing that you've put identity in, that you've made your whole life around? Do you really trust me with what I have in store for you, which is so much better? And I, with faith and a little bit of fear, stepped out into the unknown and felt like quitting rap was the best decision that I could make. I used those critical thinking skills. I used the self-awareness, the self-management to make a step, to make a pivot, to make a change into being who I am now. And through that, I realized that now as I help you discover that you aren't what you do. Man, women, looking at me right now, you aren't defined by being a dad. You aren't defined by being a husband. You aren't defined by being a wife. You aren't defined by being a business owner or a CEO. You were defined by who you are first. And it's out of being a child of God. It's out of being created by a divine creator that we are already what we need to be. Everything you need is inside of you. When you partner with God and you lean into the person that He's created you to be, then you can lean into the purpose and the identity that you have been created for. Are you ready to put critical thinking into practice? Here are a couple exercises that you can try. First, whenever you encounter new information, ask yourself what evidence supports this. When you encounter an intrusive thought, a negative thought, an idea, a narrative about your life, ask yourself what evidence supports this. Is this backed by scriptures? And what is the alternative viewpoints of what I'm seeing or what I'm thinking right now? Then the second practice you can do is mindfulness by setting aside a few minutes to get quiet and get alone, throw on some instrumental music. I love Soaking in His Presence on Spotify. If you look it up, it's some great instrumental music that really sets the tone for you to get alone with your thoughts and alone with God. And in this mindfulness, I want you to not only be selfish and think about your own thoughts and where they are coming from, but I also want you to ask God, through His Holy Spirit, what are you speaking to me now? God, what are you speaking to me now? And then get quiet and get still and see what He says. Really investigate the thoughts that you have. It's really what, from God or from man or from something else. And you'll be so surprised. If you can do both of these practices, you'll begin to see this critical thinking, this self-awareness, this self-management. You'll begin to see that start to really develop in your life, because it's just like any other muscle. The more that you work it, the stronger it gets. Now, in closing, developing critical thinking is essential for us as Christian kingdom men. It empowers us to make better decisions, like I said in the beginning. It empowers us to show up truly ourselves, to step into our divine calling and purpose, and stop being who the world has told us to be. Stop trying to fit into a mold, into a stereotype that we weren't called and created to be. That's what critical thinking does. Break out of the norm, break out of the bondage that is holding you back, and step into critical thinking and step into combining your knowledge and getting the wisdom from God to truly live the life that you have created to live. Now, before we wrap up, I want you to take 5 seconds and comment below, which was your favorite exercise of the two? Did you try them? Did you try them both? How were they? I really want to hear from you to see if these things work. As I mentioned before, I'm answering topics that you send in. So definitely comment your topics, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.